greet all of you once again with the greeting words of peace from the Lord of the worlds. May Allah's salam alaikum be unto you all. I want to welcome our guest this evening, and she is a prominent lawyer, and I want to read her bio to you. Miss Gloria Allred. Quote, I start every day with the knowledge
All callers are muted. All callers are unmuted. All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
now. I'll try it again.
All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, I'll try that again. About Miss Allred, and I quote, I start every day with the knowledge that helping people and fighting for justice is my duty, and that nothing worthwhile comes without sacrifice, self-discipline, and courage. Ms. Allred is a founding partner of the law firm of Allred, Morocco, and Goldberg, AM&G. Her firm handles more women's rights cases than any other private firm in the nation and has won hundreds of millions of dollars for victims. Over the course of her 38-year legal career, Gloria Allred has won countless honors for her pioneering legal work on behalf of women's rights and rights of minorities. Cut it off. Not that one, the other one. Miss Allred, pardon me, we have a little failure of communication there. AM&G represents victims who have been discriminated against on account of their sex, race, age, physical handicap, or sexual orientation. Her firm also represents victims of AIDS, discrimination, sexual harassment, wrongful termination. Allred, Morocco, and Goldberg is also well known for its behalf of victims in civil rights, rape, child sexual abuse, and murder cases. Ms. Allred has won the President's Award from the National Association of Women Lawyers and the President's Award for Outstanding Volunteerism, presented to her by President Ronald Reagan at the White House. She has been voted by her peers as one of the best lawyers in America. Gloria is also a 3-time Emmy nominee for her commentaries on KABC television in Los Angeles. Her nationally syndicated television show, We the People with Gloria Allred, was also nominated in 2012 for a Daytime Emmy Award. In 1998, the Los Angeles Business Journal named her one of the 50 most powerful women in Los Angeles law. In 2000, the Daily Journal named her one of the 100 most influential lawyers in California. In January 2014, Gloria received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Trial Lawyers for her trailblazing and pioneering role in combating injustice and new rights, especially for women and minorities. Ms. Allred is also the author of the book Fight Back and Win: My 30-Year Fight Against Injustice and How You Can Win Your Own Battles. Recently, President Obama introduced Ms. Allred as one of the best attorneys in the country. And, as I did a little research with the help of Brother Jamar, I found out something that was kind of close to my heart about her. She was a teacher at my high school, and this seemed like I'm reading now from an article um, uh, from the New York Times in 2010. It's an article entitled "The Avenger." Says this seemed like a good moment to bring up the subject of a 3-point calamity that shaped the young Miss Allred. She was a divorced single mother by age 21, left without child support. At 25, when she was working as a teacher at George School in the White neighborhood, she was raped while on vacation in Mexico. As a result, she underwent an illegal abortion that landed her in the intensive care unit, where while almost bleeding to death, a nurse told her, and quote, "This will teach you a lesson." What that's about, I don't know. So you failed to mention here that she was at the high school from 1966, wasn't it? Yes, from 1966. I was in the 10th grade then. And, Jordan High School is bordered by the Jordan Down projects. During that time, Mr. Youngblood was the coach. And I was trying to play a little B football. And so I want to welcome Miss Allred. And I want you to know that we did not invite you in here to show you any disrespect, but to simply go after justice, as you were saying, and we want to give an opportunity to answer fully and completely some of that I know I have and many others have about the case that you have taken for those who are accusing Dr. Cosby. Ms. Allred, I would like to give you the opportunity to fill in any blanks that I may have left out. I also have from the Huff Post a little clip where they interviewed you. And I think that it would do well for the people to hear that and see that too. But first, I want to correct us on anything that we may have read wrong, or fill in some blanks that we may not know about that was overlooked in these articles. And you may press *6 on your phone, and that should unmute you. Beg your pardon? Okay. Attorney Allred, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you fine now.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Okay.
I'm very happy about that. Very nice to meet you and to see you again, or to hear you again, and to hear that you were a student at my high school, Jordan High School, our high school.
Yes, ma'am. I went to 96 Elementary, Markham Junior High, and Jordan High School.
And which year did you say you were a student, Jordan?
I entered the 10th grade in 65. I graduated in 68.
Well, that's amazing. So that's the period of time there.
Yes, ma'am. And
Are you in my class?
I don't know if I was in your class, but I know I was.
It was Allred. My name was Bray, I think. So and I taught English. Well, this is just an amazing thing. And
yes, ma'am. I mean, it's a small world.
it's a small world, and it was 1 year. I began to teach there 1 year after the Watts rebellion or riot.
Yes, ma'am.
Point of view.
Yes, ma'am. I grew up in Watts,
Philadelphia, and I asked to teach in Watts. I knew it was white flight out of the schools, and I felt that that the students needed qualified teachers, and I definitely was qualified. I was a graduate of an Ivy League college with honors. I had a master's degree. I had experience in teaching, and I felt that I could make a contribution to the students, and that they had a right to good teachers, and the teachers shouldn't be afraid, because these were just young people who desperately wanted an education, like I did when I came from a very poor background, and that is economically. And I just wanted a good education, and I wanted to have as good a teach as kids would get in a private school. So I asked to teach there. And when I was in Philadelphia, and the recruiter said, "How soon can you come?" I said, "I'll be on the next flight." So that was it.
Well, as I was.
Hello, are you there?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I had my phone muted so that the people could really hear you. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
And
I just really enjoyed the experience. It was very positive. And do you know Fremont High School too?
Yes, ma'am. We had lots of fights with them.
Well, I just
yes, ma'am.
about Fremont, because then I left after Jordan, and I taught there for 2 years. I left for a year to go with the Teachers Association, Los Angeles Teachers Association, to be their first female staff member. And then I came back, and I wanted to teach in Watts again, and they told me that there were no openings at Fremont. And I said, "That's ridiculous." And I went down and I talked to the principal, and he said, "They're sending me unqualified substitutes." I said, "Well, do you want me to teach here?" He said, "Well, absolutely." So then I went to the school board, the central office, and I said, "They have an opening at Fremont, and I want to teach there." And they said, "You can't just decide where you're going to teach. That's ridiculous." I said, "Well, you're going to send me there, because they have unqualified substitutes, and you're going to send me there, and otherwise there's going to be a problem." And guess what? They ended up sending me there. So that was it.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
I really had to fight, really, just to get into teaching a school where kids really wanted to get a good education, but were being denied it.
Yes, ma'am. I know we had those. We had Charles Drew. We had Fremont, and we had Jordan in a 10-mile radius.
That's right. And everybody said, "Well, aren't you afraid to go there?" And I said, "You know what? There's nothing to be afraid of. If you're a good teacher, students want to learn, there's never going to be a problem." And I never did have a problem, so it all worked out.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Allred, I want to also go to this little clip that I have of you in that interview with the Huff Post to let the people see it. And you remember that one back in what's that, 2000?
No.
Well,
But whatever you would like to talk about is fine with me.
okay.
Including Bill Cosby. Anything.
Now, I also want you at any point where, you know, there was a time when, when I was much younger and my understanding was a lot different, uh, uh, that I may not have been too pleasant with Caucasian people or anyone that I thought was a Caucasian. But Elijah Muhammad taught me better than that. I just had to grow up to realize that he was teaching me better than that. And so I want you to, at any point that you feel that uh, disrespect is being shown to you, you make it known. And because it's not meant. If that is how I come off, I don't want it to come off like that. I have mothers, I have sisters, I have daughters, and I don't want anything done to, I don't want to be the cause of anyone uh, feeling justified to disrespect them. And consequently, I'm not going to disrespect anyone else, not knowing it. So with that said, I want to play this. And if you need me to stop it sometime to clarify something, you feel free to do so.
Fair enough.
What about you yourself? I mean, you've been through a lot, and you've
had a very tough and I imagine traumatizing experience. You were raped at gunpoint. You had an illegal abortion. Essentially, you were incredibly ill, needed a lot of medical attention after something like that. How did that experience help shape you and mold the work that you do?
Well, this is a very good point that you're making, because it's because of my life experiences that I am such a strong feminist. It's because I had to have an abortion when it was not illegal for a woman to get one, but illegal for a doctor to provide one. And I almost died because it was unsafe. And I was left actually to bleed to death. Fortunately for me, I didn't. But it was a really terrible experience, and I don't want anyone else's daughter to have to go through that. I want it to be safe. I want it to be available, and I want it to be affordable. And of course, in many states, it's not. And that's why I have such a passion for protecting the right to choose abortion. You know, I was discriminated against on my first job at Kimball Brothers Department Store many years ago when I was an assistant buyer, and a man was paid more than I was because it was assumed he didn't have a family, or actually that he did have a family, and I didn't. The truth was he was a bachelor. I was a single parent, not getting child support. And that I shouldn't have been paid less just because I was a female. But those days I didn't even know that I had any rights if I did. And if I had known I had any rights, I wouldn't have known where to go to enforce them. So for the last almost 4 decades, I have been dedicated to making this a better world for my daughter, my granddaughter, for everyone else's daughter and granddaughter, because we have to stand up and say women deserve rights. And then we have to do something about it. I do have a daughter. I'm very proud of her. She's a lawyer as well, and my granddaughter is just completing she's starting her 3rd year of law school. So next year we're going to have 3 generations of women lawyers. But what I believe in is that we all have a duty to help others, and that's what my career has been all about.
All right. Now that you know, Ms. Allred, as I was saying earlier, the well, I guess I need to tell you a little bit about me. Well, I joined the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad back in 1973. And at that time, I was not aware that his whole mission was to find and teach me. And that is what a lot of people that were in the nation, they differ with me on. They disagree, and they have a right to that because I'm the one telling. Beg your pardon? The screen is what? Oh, pardon me. Let's do away with this. But many of them, they say that I'm wrong for saying I'm the Son of Man and that kind of thing. But that is the title that the Holy Scriptures give to me. I'm called Son of Man, and I did not have that knowledge of myself. But thanks to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as he said, he was here to teach the black man the knowledge of himself. I didn't realize that he really meant it in that sense. I thought it was just the whole black nation. But now I have grown and I understand that that was his mission. And so my job now, my mission now, is to show all people of the earth that what they have been believing about God and his prophets and the scriptures that they brought has been wrong. And knowing that people have been taught something else, then I expect people to question me and present arguments that they may have against me, if they have any, and that I should respectfully hear those arguments and answer whatever questions they have, since I'm the one making the claim. And so for that is that's justice. If I make a claim to be something, then it's not up to people that is outside to prove that I am that thing. It is up to me to prove that I am that, and no matter how they try to prove that I am not. So, but I have to convince you. I have to convince those who hear me. And it's not up to you to convince yourself. It's up to me to offer valid, factual arguments that validate my claim. And so, so likewise, as I was experiencing growing up in Islam, I was 22 when I accepted Islam. Now I'm 64. When I first accepted and heard the teachings that the white man is the devil, I looked at all white people, and as far as I was concerned, no matter, even the ones that I grew up around, my parents had some friends, the Shipleys, and Kenneth and Francis Shipley, and they had been my adopted aunt and uncle. And every time I had a birthday, I got a crisp new dollar bill from Aunt Francis and Uncle Shipley. And Uncle Kenneth. And $1 was a lot of money when I was a little boy. And you could get 20 candy bars for $1. But my daddy didn't give me dollars. But anyway, and it would always have on there, even the way they addressed it. You know how I'm getting to a point, but I wanted you to know a little bit about me. especially since we have a history of being in the same town for a while. I, as each letter that I got on my birthday, I knew it was coming, and it would have to Master Marvin A. On there, and you know how Bruce Lee, I mean this on Batman, the janitor called his young master Bruce. Well, that's how they talk to me. And whenever I'd see her, she'd give me a big hug and whatnot. But when I accepted Islam, I stopped even trying to contact them. My brother asked me, he said, well, what about Aunt Francis and Uncle Ken? And I looked at him and I say, well, they devils. And that was the understanding that I had. I thought that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was telling us that they are devils because of their skin. Until I heard him say in the theology of time, which I never heard until after he had passed, because he passed a year of in 75. And that was 2 years after I came in the nation. And so I never heard a lot of his teachings, but I believed he was God's messenger. And so whatever he said, I accepted, even if I didn't understand why he said it, because he was God's messenger. And so I heard him say, he said, you go by his color. He said, because you didn't know who was up under the color. And this was years after I had accepted his teaching. And then I started reevaluating what I was believing. And so I understood then that just like you, Miss Allred, you're not an attorney because you're white. You're an attorney because of the knowledge that you have in your head. A criminal is not a criminal because of their color. They are a criminal based on how they think. As a good person is a good person based on how they think and act. And so that truth set me free from being used by people, because the first time that I experienced racial hatred and prejudice openly and understood it was not when I was growing up in arts. It was when I joined the Marine Corps and got sent to Quantico, Virginia for my military occupational training. And we went and I saw, that in certain places I couldn't go in. This was back in 68, no, 69. So I went into the Marine Corps in January of 1969. And so when they sent me there, I was with some white boys, and it had a sign on there, that, whites only. And then I understood, and as I started looking for all of my teachers, mostly from the time I was a little boy, in Watts, everybody was black. Only white people was the police. And it wasn't like it is now. They were there, but it was very little violent act that we got from them, at least that we experienced, because the fathers and mothers were both at home, and my father, he believed in whippings and all that, and I couldn't be out at certain hours and whatnot. But anyway, so as I realized that there are wicked people in all colors, not just in white people. You know, I watched that as I experienced that in the Nation of Islam. There were people in the Nation of Islam that wasn't worth, you know, as we said, two dead flies. Their intentions were no good, but they were there. Some were sent there, and some joined and just got what the, you know, got misled because of being blinded by color. And that wasn't the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's doing. That was the doing of those who were misrepresenting him. And so people used to come up to me and go to talking about white folks, and I didn't even hardly look into what they were saying. I just would say, you get with them, you know, because they against white folks, not realizing that they were just trying to use my bitterness or use my feelings to get me involved in something that I should have looked a little deeper into before getting involved. Now, I said that is because as I look at the history of what happened to you, you been raped yourself. And I'm assuming the person who did it wasn't never brought to justice.
That's correct.
And it's a lot of people who read that and they may think that, well, I know you would be just like people thought that I would be sympathetic to them because they talked about people that they thought I didn't like. But I learned not to let myself be pulled into unjust causes. And I invited you here to make sure that we are on the same page there. That no one is purposely using your real experience to make you the champion for something that they made up. Because that would be wrong. And people use your love and your sympathies. This world is full of that. And so I was just wondering how deep you looked into these situations other than people just bringing you something and telling you something.
All right, you're talking about Bill Cosby?
I'm talking about the people who accusing Dr. Cosby of raping them.
Okay, so here's the answer to that, because that's a very good question. Are these women telling the truth or are they not telling the truth? And I presented two options, two challenges to Bill Cosby to determine that very question. The first is, I said, he could invite each and every one of these women to sue him in a court of law, and all he has to do is agree that he will not assert the defense of the statute of limitations. In other words, he could say, I'm not going to say that it's too late. It's okay with me if you sue me, then you can present any testimony and evidence that you have to a judge and a jury. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Bill Cosby, can present any arguments that I have to a judge and a jury, and let the judge and jury decide. There, everybody's going to be under oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that's a way for a neutral person that is a judge and or members of the jury to decide. Now, if he doesn't want the public scrutiny of a public trial, then I offered him another alternative, which is a confidential arbitration before retired judges in their offices. There again, the alleged victims could present their evidence, if they have any. Dr. Cosby could present his defenses through his attorneys and through his testimony, and let those retired judges decide. And if they decide that they find by a preponderance of the evidence in favor of the alleged victims, then they would be able to award those victims damages according to proof at the trial. And that's why I said he could put $100 million into a fund. If the judges award damages, they can take it from that fund. Any unused balance would be returned to Dr. Cosby. And that would be another fair way of doing it, because the judges would be neutral. And I think that's better than trying to decide it in the court of public opinion, in the press. Here, there's actually a process. Now, I'd like to ask you, do you think that he should choose one of those two options? And wouldn't that be fairer than just what's going on in the press?
Assalamu alaikum, son of man.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I'd like to say to you that they take you off TV and you off the radio, so we're not hearing really nothing that's going on right now.
Well, we don't control the.
Why is that?
I don't know why they would do that, but I'm going to continue our conversation with Miss Allred.
Holiday spoke to you and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I mean, I'm pretty sure Brother Derek would have said something that may be your signature, brother.
Maybe.
But anyway.
I'm sorry.
Okay, just don't. They on top of things. Don't cut in to tell me that something is not working. Though they just got all that new equipment up there at the station and whatnot. So it may blink from time to time because they are still installing things. So don't interrupt me just to tell me something that the technicians and the people behind the scenes up there at the station already know. Don't do that. They are getting it. They are getting it together. The signal will be back. If it's down, it's probably not down everywhere anyway. But they do have to continue to install things. So just be patient with them. Now, to your question, Miss Allred, do I think he should choose one of those options? What I'm, are you a religious person, Miss Allred?
I would say I'm a spiritual person.
Okay, so you don't particularly have a religion that you believe in?
Well, I'm Jewish, but I live those values, and the values of Judaism are to help others, to help to repair the world. In other words, to make a better place. Those are the values.
Okay.
To leave this world a better place than we found it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's what we should do. We should work towards that. But before I answer you and give my opinion as to what Dr. Cosby should do, I want to read something that came from George Washington's farewell address to this to the nation, when after he had turned down them trying to make him a king and limited his service to those 2 years that he had. I don't know if it was 3 or 2, but anyway, he stepped down. And he said in his farewell address, he said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. And in vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness, these firmest of the duties of men and citizens. The mere politician, equally with the pious man, ought to respect and to cherish them. A volume could not trace all their connections with private and public felicity or happiness. Let it simply be asked, where is the security for property, for reputation, for life, if the sense of religious obligation desert the oaths, which are the instruments of investigation in courts of justice? And let us, with caution, indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education on the minds of peculiar structure, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principles. There is a principle in most monotheistic religions, even in the religions of this world. One thing that all agree on is that do nothing to no man that you would not have done to yourself. And that is why even in, I haven't been to law school, but I have heard lawyers argue with each other, especially in the case of circumstantial evidence and that kind of thing. And they say it is better that 10 guilty persons go free than one innocent man be convicted of a crime that he did not do. Therefore, even the way the law is written, they tell you, I think in criminal courts, that the burden of proof is not on the one who's being accused, but the burden of proof is on the one who is doing the accusing. Even in, that is the way the law is written, because if you bring any group of people can bring a railing accusation against someone that has done nothing. And if we say that just because a lot of people are saying that this was done, that must make it true. Well, I want you to take a look at this little clip here. Just give me a minute.
Track at NORAD everything that flies or floats or goes up into space anyways. And so tracking Santa really, utilizing our satellites and our radars, it's something that we routinely do. But this one day of the year, we put all our focus on making sure that we can track Santa. And then we report it either on the website at noradsanta.org or almost 100.
Now that may be an extreme example, but it does make the point that just because a lot of people goes along with something, I mean, we all know there's no such thing as Santa Claus, but yet you have a general standing up there and the news media, and they showing you some reindeers pulling a sleigh and whatnot, and everybody sitting there with a serious look on their face. So I'll say this, religious principles makes me ask myself the question, if I was Bill Cosby, would I think that what you were offering me was fair or was a way of dealing with it? And I would say no. And I don't think if you were his lawyer that you would advise him to accept that. What is prescription? What is the what is when you what does the term prescription mean in law?
What does the term, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Prescription. What does that mean when they say a case is prescribed, a prescription has ran, or
You're talking about statute of limitations?
Yes, ma'am. What is
Yeah,
that?
statute of limitations, I can explain that. The statute of limitations is an arbitrary time period. It's often different in each state. And it's a time period during which a case must be brought, either criminal or civil. Or if it's not brought within that particular time period, it's too late to ever bring it. So, for example, let's say that in certain states that maybe you would have to, for somebody to be criminally prosecuted for rape, it has to be done within 6 years in some states. If somebody didn't complain to the police until, let's say, 8 years later, it's too late for the district attorney to do anything. There can't be a criminal prosecution. It's barred, it's prohibited, because the statute of limitations has run. The time period has run out. Now, sometimes in some states, it's different for civil cases. In some states, it's different for child sexual abuse cases. In other words, there may be a longer time to bring a case if someone has sexually abused a child as opposed to an adult. But let's say in Mr. Cosby's case that the statute of limitations has run, that it's too late, and I think it is too late for most, I'm not sure about all, of those who allege that they were victims. So if he could, though, say, at least for a civil case, not for a criminal, I'm not going to assert that defense that it's too late. I'll let these women sue me, and I'll make my arguments, and let's see who prevails. Now, if you're saying you don't think he should do that, then how do you think this should be decided? If you don't think it should be decided in the press, and you don't think it should be decided in a court of law, or you don't think it should be decided in retired judges' offices, then how can this be determined? I mean, how can we decide if he is a saint or a sexual predator? How can these alleged victims have their day in court? How will this end? Dr. Cosby has a cloud over his reputation and legacy. This could help to remove the cloud. And by the way, I had a couple cases last year, where a school, even though the statute of limitations would have prevented them from being sued, they decided they were going to do the right thing by persons who alleged that they were victims of child sexual abuse by teachers at that school. And even though it would have been too late for them to sue, they decided to enter into a mediation to try the right thing by the alleged victims. And they did. So it is possible to do the right thing and say, you know what, I'm not going to stand on this legal technicality. I'm going to help and try to, engage in the healing process.
Well, you brought up a point about him not being a saint. And this just strictly dealing with what you said. What about his accusers?
Yeah, no, what I said was, is he a saint or is he a sexual predator? How will we know? And the same is true of the accusers.
The way we know.
Oh, unless we get it into some kind of court or legal process.
Well, there's a process by which people, that the jurisprudence, the system that they have set up, there is a process by which you go to court. The statute of limitations was put there for a reason. If you have something that you feel very strongly about, that you say you were raped or whatever, these women that saying that Dr. Cosby raped them, they had 7 years to give their evidence to any district attorney of any state that they were in. And obviously, the district attorneys of the states that they were in did not see any justification or anything that they had that would hold up in a court of law that would convict Dr. Cosby of what they were accusing him of.
Well, that's not exactly accurate, because a lot of these women never went to the police. They never went to the district attorney.
That's my point.
Pardon me?
That's my point.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not that the district attorney or police decided there was no merit or no evidence. It does that they never went. Now, why didn't they go? There are lots of reasons. He's rich, powerful, and famous. They thought maybe they wouldn't be believed because nobody ever heard of a lot of them, although some of them have heard of some of them. And, you know, so they thought maybe also some of them that maybe that they would be attacked by his, you know, by his friends or his entourage or his representatives. And in fact, some of the women have been attacked recently publicly by some of his representatives.
When you say attacked, what do you mean?
I mean, statements have been made about them in the press that they were not to be believed. There's also a case. It's not too late to bring a defamation case if either he or his attorneys or representatives also defame them.
Well,
I'm not representing anybody in a case.
Well, what my question is if I still have to go back to what George Washington was saying about you know, religious principles, that if we throw them out of the window, then people's reputations and everything else are just up for you know, ridicule and slander and some of everything if people don't have religious principles and morals that they live by. Now, if I attack you, Miss Allred, should I be surprised if you defend yourself?
If I do what?
If I attack you with an accusation, should I not expect you to offer a defense against?
Oh no, I absolutely agree with you. Of course, if someone has an opportunity to offer a defense, absolutely.
Okay, well, Dr. Cosby.
Agree with you, but you know, if somebody defames someone, that's defamation, meaning they libel them, or if they slander them, if you know, if they accuse, then it's possible, depending on whether it meets the definition of libel and slander, for someone to sue. So, you know, all I can say is we have free speech in this country, absolutely.
If I was Dr.
It's important in the court of public opinion. Nobody has a right to defame anybody, though. So I'm saying there is a way to determine this, and that's why I think some kind of legal process is what we should all be advocating for, so that we can know what is true, what is not true, who's telling the truth, and who's the real victim. Now, Camille Cosby said recently, you know, she was disturbed by how the press was, you know, handling this. And she said, well, I like, you know, who's the real victim? So in response to that, I said, I invite her to come to my office or any place she would like to meet. And I'll bring my clients and I'll bring other women who make accusations and let her sit down with them face to face. She can ask them anything that she wants. And then she can decide who the real victim or victims really are, whether it's her husband or these alleged victims.
What I'm kind of being a stickler about is that if we want him to give about a lot of proofs that he didn't do something, why didn't we hold them to the same yardstick to give proofs that he did? I mean,
well,
here, just a moment. I'm going. I need to say why I said that, because if I accuse you of drugging me and then knocking me out and doing something to me while I was knocked out, the first thing that I need to answer. I need to be answered if someone wants to, if I want them to believe me. Okay, You went and you got a toxicology report? What kind of drug was it? Okay, once we get that done, that there was a drug and I named what the drug was. Now is, now what was done to you? Okay, then if the man raped these women or whatever, did you go and do the rape kit? Did you get that done? You may be afraid of him, but you're not afraid of the police. You're not afraid of, here, you telling me that all these white women was raped by a black man. And they were afraid to say that a black man raped them?
Okay, well, may I answer that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, first of all of the women who are making accusations are not white. One of the women I represent is African American, and Beverly Johnson, who's making allegations against Mr. Cosby, is also African American. And I actually don't even know the race of some of the other women who've called, but I know that there are at least two there. Having said that, it is not Dr. Cosby's duty to present proof. I'm not saying he needs to present proof of anything. If he would engage in this process, a civil lawsuit in a court of law, it would be the accusers, the alleged victims, were the ones who would have to present proof. They would have to prove their case that he drugged or raped them not beyond a reasonable doubt, even just by preponderance of the evidence. He wouldn't have to present any evidence. All he could, he could just say that he didn't do it, and they would have to prove their case. And if they didn't prove their case, then he would prevail.
They actually.
He doesn't have to prove anything.
Well, Ms. Allred.
Be the defendant.
Ms. Allred, before you can bring people into court, you have to show some reason why the court should take up the time to do that. And not just, when you make an accusation like that, you have to have some evidence other than what you're saying.
Well, some of the women allege that they do have evidence. That's it.
Well, if they had
do.
evidence.
Unfortunately, I only have a couple more minutes because I thought we were going to conclude at 7 o'clock, but I apologize for that. But
I'm enjoying this
fascinating discussion.
I wanted. Can we continue this discussion at some future time when you can have more time?
I would absolutely love that. I would be honored.
I'm honored to have one of my ex-teachers stand here talking with me.
And I promise I'm not going to grade you.
What you
say? Although if I did have to grade you, I would give you very high marks because you've got a good mind, and I'm enjoying the back and forth with you because this is how people learn. In the court of public opinion, they hear different sides, and then they make up their mind.
Well, Ms. Allred, you obviously are one who helped shape my mind. I obviously, I can't. We had some. I'm pretty sure Mr. Jupert. He was the principal there for a while.
Well, it's been a long time. I remember Dr. Bolton. He was the principal of Fremont High School. He became one of the associate superintendents of the Los Angeles School District. And anyone listening, by the way, I also taught in Philadelphia at Benjamin Franklin High School. For those who remember that school.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a terrific school. So anyway, I wish you, a good holiday, and I thank you very much for doing me the honor of inviting me on your program.
The honor is all mine.
And I will look forward to continuing our discussion at a future date. Thank you. And if I don't talk to you before the new year, I wish you and your family a very happy, healthy, and prosperous new year.
And may Allah bless you with the same, beloved.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Till we meet again. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Small world. I never would I have thought that I'd be talking to somebody who helped teach me when I was in high school. Now, to say that, as you heard, as she acknowledged that it's not up to Dr. Cosby to prove he's innocent. It's up to his accusers to prove that they have something that needs to be adjudicated. You can't just accuse people of things. You have to have, most ignorant people, and when I say ignorant, I don't mean it in the sense that we used to throw that word out there, you old ignorant thing. That's not what I mean by that. When I say ignorant, I mean people who don't have a knowledge of how law works. And that's most of us. Because, even saying that he should sue them and get what? You think those women have money? Okay. What kind of entertainer in his right mind starts suing the public? He'll get unpopular real quick. That's why most of them, when they have something, whether it's true or not, they settle. Because they don't want to become the public's enemy. The public is like the wind, like the ocean. It be calm sometimes, and sometimes it'll get all worked up with the wind blowing on it, and it'll tear your ship up and everything else. The best thing is don't get the public worked up if you want to have a career. You understand? Because they can be with you today, and man, they turn on you tomorrow. And like, I wanted to ask her if he was her client, would she give him the advice that she's trying to give him to do now? The attorney, what's his name? Martin Singer. If Martin Singer would let Bill Cosby do that, he should be sued for malpractice. You mean give up your right to they had a time limit that they could go on and place the lawsuit if they wanted to. How do you investigate? You say you was raped. Where's the proof now? What? A whole bunch of you coming forth? The more people come forth now, the more it look like piling on. Maybe I can get something out of this. If that's all it takes, is for, just a whole bunch of people to get together and say you did something. Well, yeah, that's all it takes. Well, yeah, let me get me some of that money. Yeah, he drugged me. Gave me, what did he give you? He gave you a cappuccino. He gave me a cappuccino. Well, what? Everybody that man must carry a cappuccino machine around with him. And then they drinking it. He gave it to me. What you drinking for? I'm not gonna forget what Beverly said when Miss Goldberg asked her. Matter of fact, she told her, so he didn't rape you. She said, I don't believe he did. Then what is she in here talking about support? Miss Ruley, when I asked her, did he rape you? She said no. But she's up here for support. This ain't no the best supporting actor. What are these people doing? So, but even when you disagree with people, man, that don't give you the right to cuss them out and call them all out of their name. That's getting personal. But if the truth is on your side, why can't you just stick to the truth? Here, this I've never met Dr. Cosby personally, but I remember growing up and he was instrumental in helping to put some pride in me. Just like them brothers that I met from Motown, and I wish I could get them all someplace and tell them how grateful I am for what they did in relation to what I see now. They wasn't filling our minds with garbage and every other word, cursing and swearing and stuff coming out of their mouth. And look at this man been getting insulted for us. What I mean by that? When he told, I mean, they even tell jokes about how they insult him. He simply called one up, and you remember, and I don't mean this. Look, let me tell you something. Man, I used to curse. You know, I had some words I could use on you. I'll put it like that. And you know, you ask my wife, she had to wake me up and tell me, you cussing and going on. I was cussing people out in my sleep. And so, I mean, it's not, I mean, I woke myself up, even now. Using vanity. Because those are my devils I got to deal with. You understand? So when Dr. Cosby was telling Mr. Pryor, you know, Richard Pryor and Brother Murphy, I mean, he was simply making a suggestion to him. And you know, brother, you funny, man. You don't have to use all of that. But you know how we are. You know, all of us do it. Hey, man, who you telling me what I need to be saying and whatnot? I would have said the same thing. You know, if I was in that arena, more than likely, I'd have said the same thing. So I'm going to condemn Eddie. I'm trying to show you that Bill Cosby is not just started something or trying to put some front out here of what he stands for. You ain't never heard him curse or swear. I know I haven't. I put it like that. I've never heard him cursing and swearing. And because he don't, that's even a joke. For who don't cuss and swear? You know? And so, you know, it's like I said, you know, you have to be careful what you throw out there. Because if you're going to hold him to sainthood, you got to hold his accusers to sainthood. You know, you can't say he ain't no saint. And then I said, well, are they? I don't know. We might be out of the conference room. I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
The conference cannot be unmuted.
Oh, let me mute it back. Let me take care of that. Wa alaikum salam.
All callers are muted. All callers are unmuted. All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, just a moment.
All callers are muted. All callers are unmuted. All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
No, that wasn't on my end. That was did you fix the conference room where couldn't nobody unmute their phone? Okay, well that's probably in your line, Sister Lucille. But anyway, you know, they play them kind of games. They would like to, you know, look, always remember something. In order to get respect, you have to first give it. What does that mean? If you want corn to come up out that field out there, what you got to do? You got to put something in there, don't you? That's the law. You know, it's just like with white people. They, you know, many white people. They want us to show respect to the police officers, the white police that patrol our communities, while they not there and privy to what a lot of those officers be saying to us low where can't nobody hear it but us and them. Take all these white officers out of the black community and put black officers to patrol black communities until we all can grow up and stop messing over people of color. To encourage, even if um, everything demanded that Dr. Cosby go to court, I would not trust these courts. We ain't caught none but hell from the black man ain't caught none but hell from y'all since we've been here. Now, why should I trust you? Why should I give up my rights and listen to some old white judges telling me that they gonna give me just? If you throw away your rights, you did that on your own. And history teaches you that expecting justice from white people is a pipe dream. I'm just telling you. I'll show you an example. I gave my baby a spanking, and you know what a white woman accused me of? Of attacking my baby. I got the letter she wrote me. And another one called, y'all heard one of them call up and tell me I was attacking that baby. So how can a parent assault their own child? In other words, I can't spank my child. But when your police officers and shoot one of mine, you say it's justified. And they just keep on doing it and keep on saying it's justified. You heard them tornadoes went through Missouri and Mississippi here? They justified. Wa alaikum salam.
Did you hear about the indictment of this black Reverend Pinckney in Benton Harbor, Michigan? And they said they needed no evidence. And the IRP 60, they have been in jail for over 5 years with no evidence by a grand jury.
I mean, that's just business. That's just business as usual. I mean, and now you want me to tell Dr. Cosby to put himself at their mercy?
Nope.
No, I'm not going to tell him to do that. And I'm going to tell you something else, Miss Allred. If she was his attorney, she wouldn't be telling him that either.
That's correct.
Yeah, no, what it is, Miss Aldridge's heart went out to those women. And I think they playing on her.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I said, it's people come up to you, they don't hardly do it no more. Come up to me, them old white folks. Hey, this Negro trying to come up to me, gonna use me to put forth some evil agenda that he won't put forth, and I'm supposed to run with it because he brought it. It don't work like that. You might think I'm a racist, but you better wake up. I'm not a racist. I'm a Muslim. I'm gonna let you hear something else. Now Fox News, everybody know that's the conservative station, right? I want to let you hear something here. Now, this will show you just give me a minute. See if I can find it. Guess I have to go to the other one. Now, I want you to look at this and listen. But first, I want to refresh your memory. These people just play on your ignorance. And it's time that you stop letting them. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm gonna if this thing will reboot for me. And I'm gonna let you see something and hear something. And by the way, we did.
Welcome back to Hannity now over the weekend announcement.
We did. I asked Brother Jamar to I asked him to invite Mr. West, Allen West, the former senator. He's Lieutenant Colonel West, and this is what he wrote to them. It says, "Hi, Brittany. My name is Jamar Muhammad, and I'm a producer for WHPR 88.1 FM and UHF TV 33, Comcast 20 in Detroit, Michigan. I'm writing to extend an invitation to Lieutenant Colonel Allen West to appear on our broadcast to discuss his comments regarding Bill Cosby's support of Islam last year when he was a guest on Sean Hannity's Fox News broadcast. The Son of Man, the host of the broadcast, promises to have a respectful dialogue with Lieutenant Colonel West. He said he wants to have a serious conversation with Lieutenant Colonel West regarding the things he suggested about Black Muslims. Will he be available for a discussion this week? Our broadcast airs Wednesday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sunday at 12 noon. Let me know. Sincerely, Jamar." Then their answer was, "Mr. Muhammad, Brittany Zanon forwarded your request to me. I will be glad to send your request for an interview with the Son of Man to Allen West, but I wanted to make you aware of a couple of issues. Because of his contractual commitment as a contributor to Fox News channel, Colonel West cannot do on-camera interviews with any media outlets other than Fox. In other words, he worked for them. Let's listen. Also, he is in the process of moving from Florida to Texas this week and is unavailable. If you would still like me to pursue the request with Colonel West, I can do that next week. Please let me know how you'd like to proceed. Best regards, Kathy Danielle, Senior Director of Communications." Now, see, Lieutenant Colonel West, he was saying what he was instructed to say. Listen to this now.
Comedian Bill Cosby authored a controversial opinion piece in the New York Post about the flaws of American communities. Today, a former star of The Cosby Show, he's raising eyebrows for the op-ed in which he says we should all be more like Muslims. He wrote, quote, "I'm a Christian, but Muslims are misunderstood, intentionally misunderstood. We should all be more like them. They make sense, especially with their children. There's no other group like the Black Muslims who put so much into teaching children the right things. They don't smoke, they don't drink or overindulge in alcohol. They protect their women, they command respect. And what do these other people do? They complain about them."
Just wait. It's rebooting. Give it a minute. It's rebooting. I'm playing this directly off of the internet. So oftentimes when people who are who believe in justice, when they see another person that is offering a defense for someone that they are attacking, it's just, you have to be careful what you do when it comes to that kind of thing, because remember, lawyers do what they do for a living. That's what they do. They represent people. They represent your friend, and they also represent your enemy. Do you understand?
Yes.
And when you get personal with it, you messed up, because it ain't about personal. It's about just justice. It's about giving a person. If the truth is on your side, it don't make no difference how many people is against you. On the other hand, if you basing your position on a lie, then all of the just a moment. What's happening with our signal? Is it good? What? All of the lies that you build up, they're gonna be just like a room that's filled with darkness. The minute the light come on, all the darkness gonna disappear. If the truth is on your side, whether you realize it or not, God is on your side. God is the truth. I don't know what's happening with my brother. You need to check that internet feed there. I don't know what's happening there. Dang. Close it down. We
Excuse me, man.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill Cosby went through this before, back after he had become popular with I Spy, he had a program, and I think it only aired maybe once or twice, but he was on the program, he was telling people and showing people how they should raise young black men. And shortly after that, he was so-called blackballed, the same way that like Arsenio Hall was when he, had Farrakhan on his show. And it took Bill Cosby a few years, to redevelop himself. But he has been through this before, with this same thing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. The minute that I've told you before that when a person show me that they are a friend to me, I have never been the kind of person that because a gang get after you and I see we finna both get towed up, I'm gonna run and leave you there. I don't do that. It just ain't, I just can't do it. I just have to stay there and get beat down with you. Cause I'm not gonna run out on my friend. Now, how many entertainers have I ever heard stand out and tell black people that they need to be more like the black Muslim? And he even said he's not no Muslim. He said, I'm a Christian. That's what he said. He's a Christian. But he said we may not have to, we don't need to become Muslims. He said, but we ought to emulate them. I mean, when the messenger was here, Dr. Cosby went and spoke to him too. And I don't, it's just like, which of you, I mean, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spiritually was the one who raised me, who gave me, he was the author of the knowledge that raised me up. Do you honestly think I'm going to just let that go? No, I'm not. I'm not going to treat it like it was nothing. He stood up for me. He stood up for the Nation of Islam, and he's standing up for me. Well, he needs somebody to stand up for him. I'm with him. I'm gonna stand up for him until you show me that I'm standing up for an unjust man. But just because somebody said he raped them and ain't offered no proof other than their mouth, especially when I done heard one say to the other women that we are the stronger race. Well, what do you mean by that? So whatever a white woman say about a black man, if a white woman accuse a black man, she got power. That's what that says to me. That's what she's saying. Otherwise, why she bring race into it? I wanted to talk to Ms. Allred about that. But, there's many things I can justify why I'm saying. And I wanted you to understand that you don't necessarily be having to think evil about Ms. Allred, because she was raped at gunpoint. Can you understand why she takes that seriously? But I'm thinking that they know that and trying to exploit it. That's my thinking on that. Do you understand? Always remember, stay objective. The minute you get emotionally involved in the thing, your judgment can get very clouded. You notice once clouds start rolling in, they seem to get in there real fast, blocking out the sun. Keep your emotions in check, especially when you're dealing with people's reputation who make their living off of their reputation. You got to be careful because you may harm somebody and later on find out that you was used and played. The Holy Quran says that. I mean, I wanted to tell Ms. Allred, by all means, hold Dr. Cosby to a standard that he set, but also hold them to the same standard. Because the law don't work like they trying to make it work. He got to come out and prove it. He told you he's not guilty. That's the, that's what they ask you when they arraign you. How do you plead? And once you say not guilty, you don't have to say nothing else. And in discovery, if they decide that it's something there to prosecute, you know what they have to do? They have to give you the evidence that they are going to present against you so you can prepare your defense. What evidence have they brought out that that man raped them? What? Then what are you running with? Just a word? That's enough. It ain't enough for me. People don't mind lying on you. These people lie all the time. I'm not running with that. No, sir. I'm not running with it. Because I done had some experience with people saying things, and then later on I found out it wasn't so. No, I'm not running with that. I'm trying to bring up something here that I don't know why this thing ain't loading up like it should, but they play games with it. Is the internet still up? Was that one of them purposeful crashes? No, sir. All right. I'm gonna close all this stuff out because I want people to hear this. Let's see here. See if this one. Yeah. All right. Now let's go back and get this other thing out here. I'm going to let you all go in a little while, but George Washington was sure no dumbbell. What did he say about your reputation? If people don't hold to religious principles and morality, then people don't mind slandering you if they don't believe in God. And the people who's supposed to dispense justice, they will sweep the truth under the rug if they don't like you, if they don't believe in God. You understand? George Washington was no dumbbell. Benjamin Franklin and all of them founding fathers who stood up and reminded the people of the importance, and they knew you can't legislate righteousness, but you can show before you put somebody in that position, check them out and make sure you know who you putting up there. If you get the wrong person up there on the bench who does not believe in religious principles of as you would that men do to you, do that also unto them. Don't ask me to do something that if you was in my place, you wouldn't be willing to do. Huh? So I see if we can get this straight from the horse's mouth there, and we go from there. as if this thing don't freeze up on us. Funny how, these people, I'm telling you, man, don't want to come on. They don't want to boot up now. Yeah, all right. Let's see here. Let's see. I want to maybe this is it.
Welcome back to Hannity. Now, over the weekend, outspoken comedian Bill Cosby.
They don't want to bring it up. Yeah. Funny how every time we get ready to teach on something, it gets hard. Huh? You seek Allah, you seek through what? There you go. Patience, man.
Cosby authored a controversial opinion piece in the New York Post about the flaws of American communities today, and the former star of The Cosby Show, he's raising eyebrows for the op-ed in which he says we should all be more like Muslims. He wrote, quote, "I'm a Christian, but Muslims understood, intentionally misunderstood. We should all be more like them. They make sense, especially with their children. There's no other group like the Black Muslims who put so much effort into teaching children the right things. They don't smoke, they don't drink or overindulge in alcohol. They protect their women, they command respect. And what do these other people do? They complain about them. They criticize them. We'd be a better world if we emulated them." And needless to say, many people found his words troubling. And my next guest took to Twitter to express his disagreement with Cosby. Former Congressman Alan West tweeted, quote,
He said, now his next guest. He said his next guest. Why didn't he introduce him as contributor? Huh? That's being deceptive, isn't it? Okay, let's see now. He don't want you to know that Lieutenant Colonel West is on the payroll there. Huh? Okay, let's see what he have to say.
Today in the New York Post, Bill Cosby said we should be more like Muslims. You mean honor killings, beheadings, suicide bombings? Hope you're kidding, sir. Joining me now, former Florida Congressman and director of NextGeneration.tv, Fox News contributor, Colonel Alan West. Sir, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me on, Shawnee. How are you?
I was surprised by his comments. Tell me why you felt the need to respond.
Well, I think it's very important because we cannot allow people that are influential in our country, especially in the entertainment industry, to start putting out false information. I'll give you a great example.
Was it false what Dr. Cosby said about the Black Muslims? See, that's what I want to talk to him about. Now, after saying all this, I want to show you something else.
Today, as reported from Reuters and the Washington Times, Syrian Islamists kidnapped, tortured, and then executed a 15-year-old young Syrian boy in front of his mother and father just because he, quote unquote, disrespected Muhammad by saying that he did not want to be a believer. And we know that if you choose not to be a believer, that's apostasy, and he was killed. You know, those are not the type of things that are in keeping with Western civilization values. When you talk about Black Muslims, let's also remember the Nigerians who brutally and savagely attacked and beheaded the young British soldier Lee Rigby, Rigby, I believe, and they were from Nigeria. Look up the group, the terrorist group Boko Haram, and the things that they are doing to Christians in Nigeria. the Easter attacks, the Christmas Day attacks, but yet the Obama administration does not put Boko Haram on the terrorist list. And then, of course, in the United States of America, we've had a series of honor killings that have occurred. The father that backed over his daughter in Arizona, the other father who shot his two daughters in Texas in the cab, and then in Jonesboro, Georgia, a father who strangled his young daughter. So I don't think that's very keeping with the right type of family values that we endear here in the United States of America and Western civilization.
I was particularly disturbed by his comments about how they protect their women. How do you view women as being treated in Muslim countries?
Well, it's very simple. When you understand that in the Quran, you are, sanctioned to beat your wife. But having been over in the Middle East, I saw countless amounts of times of women being attacked and beaten. We know many times the Taliban was throwing acid on young girls who were trying to go to school. We know about the young girl in Pakistan who was attacked by the Pakistani Taliban, and she was shot in the head simply because she had spoken out about young girls getting an education. So again, I don't know where Mr. Cosby is getting his information from, because I'm speaking about facts.
Well, do they protect their women? I know that some Muslim countries, you need 4 male eyewitnesses to prove rape. Is that protecting women?
No, that's not. And that's one of the traditions of Muhammad that is carried on. And of course, they see him as the premier individual to emulate. But when you look at some of the things that in his history, when you study the hadiths, the traditions of Muhammad, you see some very reprehensible behavior, to include, modern day pedophilia, and I think some psychopathic, sociopathic type of behavior. And let's be very honest, this gentleman was nothing more than a very vicious warlord.
Yeah. One of the things, Saudi Arabia women can drive. They have the morality police.
Now, before everybody go off the deep end, didn't they call Jesus that deceiver? Huh? Do you know of any one of God's prophets that the people in this world who were ruling didn't say hateful things about? That's the point. So, if you ain't gonna get upset when they said hateful things about Jesus or Moses or any of the rest, we don't make no distinction between any other prophets. It's no different when they say hateful things about Muhammad. That just shows you that he's the brother of Jesus and Moses and all of them. When people don't like a member of your family, they turn on the whole family. That's the way this world works. Very few people that if they have a fallout with a member of your family, they don't take it out on you. That's just the way it is. These people is very unjust, huh? And I tell you something else. People in this world, they condone the wrong of their family. Yes, they will. But that's my brother. That's my he ain't no brother of mine. He out here acting a fool. My daddy's favorite words was, I don't uphold nobody in the wrong. That's one of the things I hated about him. He wouldn't do like the other people's families and fathers and stuff. They always think they child telling them the truth. He always said, boy, I believe you're lying. So, I would be sometime. What child you know of that's going to ever tell the truth on themselves? Especially if whippings come behind it. Huh? So, and so he was not the kind of person who looked the other way just because you was his family. If you was wrong, he told you. And I'm so glad that he was like that. That's why other people, when he'd be fussing at him about something, they would stand there and take it. I used to wonder why he doesn't let some of them men, they was up over him like on a basketball player or something. He there fussing at them and telling them about themselves and they ain't said nothing. I said, why don't they knock that old man? But now I know why. Because he was telling them right. So
women can't be seen outside the home with men that they're not related to. What about the issue of women having to cover themselves? That doesn't sound like the freedom that we give women here in America.
No, you have women that have to cover themselves. And also in Saudi Arabia, you had a school of women that were left to burn to death because they were not allowed outside by the morality police because they were not properly dressed. And let's not forget about genital mutilation in the Islamic world. So when you talk about a war on women,
I mean, even that. Man, you're talking about people not. There used to be laws in America about indecent exposure. Hey, you may not have it now. You can walk around naked. But America has fallen. Babylon the Great is fallen, and it's become the habitation of devils. But I can remember a time when you wasn't going to walk around on the streets of America exposing yourself. So why are you surprised when, I mean, I don't have to agree with everything that those in the East practice to recognize that everything they trying to do ain't wrong. Keeping morality high in the society, it's not wrong for a man to set laws that inside of his borders that you a certain way that you have to conduct yourself on our streets out here. Huh? We got laws in America. There used to be laws against spitting on the sidewalk. So I don't, what do you know, but anyway, now they don't want Dr. Cosby telling you that the black Muslim, he said black Muslim. He didn't say nothing about them people overseas. He was talking about us who he knew. And even them overseas, they don't even accept us and what we practice as being Islam. They said it. And when the messenger was asked about it, because he was teaching, he said, and the white man come up to him and say, those over in the East, they don't believe like you. The messenger said, that's natural. He said, because this is new to them. He said, regardless to whether they believe it or not, this is what's coming. In so many words. He said, he don't need the Arabs' permission. I don't need the Arabs' permission to represent the word of Allah. Since when do I have to go get permission from them to do what Allah gave me? That would be an insult to Allah for me to ask their permission. You heard some of them come in here, hear me talking to my own people, come in here and insulting me. He ain't doing nothing for you. And want to do something for you. You ain't gonna get away with that kind of stuff no more either. Allah is ready to chastise everybody who want to come over here and get in our family business. He said, we are the best nation raised for men. Show me another nation that's been raised other than the new nation of Islam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he called what he was doing the said nation of Islam. He said, I'm laying the foundation for a what? New nation. And this is it. I'm building on it. And I don't care if you don't like it. It ain't from you. Allah said, we are the best nation raised for men, that we enjoin good and forbid evil. I don't have to agree with Miss Attorney Allred, but I do as a man and as a Muslim, I have to show her respect. Anytime you invite someone into your home or your country and you don't have sense enough to respect them, you are a fool. Because if you didn't want them there, what you invite them for? And if you invited them, why don't you treat them like you would want to be treated if the shoe was on the other foot? Don't invite me into your house to disrespect me. That's what I got against the whole government of America. You came and stole me out of my country, brought me over here and enslaved me. You ain't gonna talk to me like I forced my way over here and like I forced my way into your country to try to get with you or whatnot. And go back to Africa. Why did you bring us here? So you could misuse us? So you could mistreat us? That's why you brought us here. So you could do to us what you didn't want done to yourself. You don't want to have that kind of conversation with me. You don't want to come in here telling me to go back nowhere. When we was asking to let us go back, you wouldn't let us. Then went and dropped them slaves off into what is that? Liberia, and ain't taught them nothing. Just dropped them off over there and say, you're free now. And even he done showed you that when a lion is raised in captivity, you can't just drop him back off into the wild. He will die. You got to reawaken his nature in him before you put him back out in the wild. They didn't teach us nothing about going for self. Just dropped them off over there. That's why they don't want to talk to me. I told you that all of you need to let me represent you. You ain't got nothing to deal with these crooks. He taught you. How in the world you gonna go against the one who taught you? I learned some of what I know from him, but the rest of what I know, I learned from Almighty God Allah. That's why I can have intelligent conversation with anybody, from babies to presidents. And you make sure that you follow up on that and you thank Ms. Allred for coming in here, and you tell her I look forward to us having a conversation again. Now, they did all this on now. Just listen.
I think we know exactly where we should be looking, and that is truly in the institution of Sharia law, which is part of the tenets of Islam. All right. And on West, Colonel West, good to see you, sir. Thanks for being with us. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Sean. Coming up next.
Pretending that he ain't part of the thing. Didn't they just say here his contract won't let him appear on nobody else's? Which means what? He ain't no guest there. Okay. Let's further prove our point. I want you to look at this. And listen.
Please be seated. Thank you. Welcome to the White House. This is the fifth year in a row that it's been my honor to host an iftar in the state dining room.
Don't cut it off now. Just a moment.
Our distinguished guests represent the millions of Muslims that we're proud to call Americans. Many Islamic nations
Just a minute. Once it reboot, I'm gonna let you hear it. Because you know, people say all kind of things. But you ain't heard Sean Hannity and none of them talking about this. And just wait. If I found it online, they could find it on there. Huh? Let's see here.
a representative here that America is proud to call friend. We welcome the representatives from many countries with large Muslim populations. We thank you all for coming to celebrate an honored tradition of the Muslim faith and wish you a Muhammad Mubarak. I want to thank those in my administration who joined us.
Didn't I tell you they went over there and found their friends over there to come and put them in the front of Islam because they couldn't condemn us? They went and found people that call themselves Muslims and then bring them and put them out here in front of each other. And now a lot of them put them all against each other. But before, they was saying that they have true Islam and that the black Muslims are not real Muslims. Isn't that what they were saying? Now I'm supposed to just stand back and say nothing, huh? What the young brothers say, you ain't gonna punk me. No. Now, they presented these people to you as the Muslims. How come they didn't accept and present the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to you? We're the ones that introduced Islam to America, not them people over in the East. It was the ones that they call black Muslims. Look up the definition that the white man put in the dictionary. And when he say, you look up Muslim, it says a member of the Nation of Islam. Am I lying or telling the truth? So he know who the real Muslims are. We the ones that he can't offer no word against. You notice, he can't come in here and accuse me of nothing. They used to want to say we preach racism. Well, he the one that's been practicing racism on us for the past 400 and some years. They ain't gonna flip the script and try to, when we call him on it, well, you're a racist. I wish you would come in here and have that discussion with me. I mean, how in the world you've been practicing martial arts for decades, and then I say you martial artist, and you tell me, no, you the martial artist, and I ain't never practiced it. How in the world, when did I become a black belt? You a warmonger, not me. I ain't practiced no war. I mean, you know how I got out of the military. A general discharge under honorable conditions unable to adapt to military service. Do that sound like somebody who knows something about killing and making and shedding blood? I'd have never made a good killer, because that's not in my heart to do. And I didn't, when I got fed up with it, I told the colonel, I want out. I said, I can't take this no more. I'm not going to do nothing else y'all tell me. That's what I told him. And I said, you just well letting me out. He sent me to the base psychiatrist. 6 months later, the Navy corpsman, he gave me some Valiums and stuff like that. I wasn't going to take all that stuff. I took it a little bit and I said, I got to get out of here. And 6 months later, I was out. And I got my full benefits and everything under honorable conditions. I didn't join and pretend to be with them so I could blow them up and all that old kind of stuff. I joined because I joined because I believed that I needed to go in there. And when I didn't believe that I needed to be in there no more, I told them. Sitting around pretending and going on. Even when I fell out with some of the lieutenants, the officials in the nation, I didn't hide my feelings. I went and told the captain. I said, y'all don't care nothing about us. I said, I ain't doing nothing else you say. You say the Muslims kill people when they didn't kill me. And I told him, you don't care nothing about us. I didn't stop going to the temple. I just stopped listening to him. But I never stopped listening to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when he wasn't there no more, and WD come in there and they lifting him all up on their shoulders and something like some football game or something, I was out of there. Who he supposed to be? And you pledging my allegiance to him. You can't pledge my allegiance to nobody. I'm the only one who can pledge my allegiance. I ain't no groupie. I didn't accept the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because everybody else accepted him. I accepted him because I believed he was the messenger of God. And I meant it when I said if it wasn't nobody but me and him, I'd be with him. No. I don't care how many people are doing it. Well, everybody else doing it. Well, everybody else ain't doing it because I ain't doing it. Now, you listen to President Bush go on, and you ain't heard him saying nothing about him.
I want to thank the Imam today, and thank you for leading us in prayer after these short remarks. I want to thank all the ambassadors from the organization of the Islamic Conference. I welcome other members of the Diplomatic Corps. And I want to thank the American Muslim leaders who are with us today. Thanks for taking time out to celebrate this important dinner. Ramadan is the holiest time of the Muslim year. According to Islamic teaching, this month commemorates the revelation of God's word to the Prophet Muhammad in the form of the Quran. For more than 1 billion.
He didn't say to the pedophile Muhammad. Just listen.
Muslims, Ramadan is a time of heartfelt prayer and togetherness. It's a time of fasting and personal sacrifice. It's a time to give thanks for God's blessings through works of charity. One Muslim leader said it's a national and Islamic obligation to assist one's neighbors when they are in need. The American people saw that spirit as we recovered from Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. The world's spirit, that compassion of Islam, for the countless acts of kindness following the recent earthquake in South Asia. America is fortunate to count such good-hearted men and women among our fellow citizens. We have great respect for the commitment that all Muslims make to faith, family, and education. And Americans of many backgrounds seek to learn more about the rich tradition of Islam. To promote greater understanding between our cultures, I've encouraged American families to travel abroad to visit with Muslim families. And I've encouraged American families to host exchange students from the Muslim world. I've asked young Americans to study the language and customs of the broader Middle East. And for the first time in our nation's history, we've added a Quran to the White House Library. All of us gathered tonight share a conviction that America must remain a welcoming and tolerant land in which our people are free to practice any faith they choose. We reject every form of ethnic and religious discrimination. As I said in my second inaugural address, we cannot carry the message of freedom and the baggage of bigotry at the same time. We also share a common hope for the future, that our children and grandchildren will grow up in a safer and more peaceful world. Delivering on that promise to future generations requires action from our generation. We must stand confident in the cause of freedom, including the freedom of people everywhere to practice their faith in peace. We must also firmly oppose all who commit evil in God's name. I'm grateful to the Muslim nations that have joined our coalition on the war on terror. Many nations have been victims of terror themselves. As we work together to defeat the terrorists, we must be very clear about the enemies we face. The killers who take the lives of innocent men, women, and children are followers of a violent ideology very different from the religion of Islam. These extremists distort the idea of jihad into a call for terrorist murder against anyone who does not share their radical vision, including Muslims.
And let me add, jihad is not a war that you fight out in the public eye. Jihad is the war that each individual fights within himself, where the good that's in him battles the evil, and he calls on Allah to help him to overcome his own evil. That is the holy war. As Jesus said, the kingdom of God comes not with observation. You don't look here and look there, and there's come the kingdom. The kingdom of God is within you. Well, it goes without saying, if the kingdom of God is within you, the kingdom of the devil is within you. Then that's where the fight goes on. Then you who want to shed people's blood because they don't believe as you, you are just a wicked tool of the devil. When did you get the right to murder anybody because they don't believe like you? If you have the truth and they have a lie, why don't you sit down with them at the table of reason and reason with them and convince them? With truth. No, your answer is murder them. You are of your father, the devil. You are of your mind that's in you. The mind fathers the actions and the deeds. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. We know Cain was the first murderer. And he abode not in the truth. Where is Abel, your brother? I don't know. I know not. Am I his keeper? Because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. Call it a little white lie. Because he's a liar and the father of it. As the messenger said, we made them devils. And he said to me, he said, now look, don't go blaming them for what by nature you put in them. He said, blame yourself for putting it in them. Now, if you don't like what the creature is, remake him. I'm offering all of you white people a chance. And all of you who've been under that mind that the white man was given to rule, now everyone, you either the white man or you one of his children. The mind that's in you. This is your chance to be changed. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. Transformed means changed by the renewing of your mind. How do you renew the mind? You renew the education. You renew the knowledge. You tell them, hey, wait a minute. What does the sun do with the water? It renews the water. It purifies it. And it does it over and over again. You come and listen to me, and I will purify you. But as the President George Bush and them, they know more than they were telling. He know Islam is the true religion of God, but not what they practicing. What I'm offering you, this is God's true religion. That's why I can stand in front of the whole world and shut their mouth.
From other traditions, who they regard as heretics. Their strategy will fail. Many Muslim scholars have already condemned terrorism, often citing chapter 5, verse 32 of the Quran, which states that killing an innocent human being is like killing all of humanity, and saving the life of one person is like saving all of humanity. I appreciate those of you here who are scholars in rejecting violent extremists. And I believe the time has come for all responsible Islamic leaders to denounce an ideology that exploits Islam for political ends and defiles your noble faith. I have great confidence in the future of this nation and in the future of the Muslim world. I've been inspired by the courage of people in Afghanistan and Iraq, where Muslims celebrating Ramadan in two of the world's newest democracies. I believe that people of every religious and ethnic background have the right and the desire to be free. And I believe that the spread of freedom and justice and tolerance in the broader Middle East would lead to the peace that we all seek. As we celebrate this special iftar, we renew the ties of friendship that bind all who trace their faith back to God's call on Abraham. We recognize the many hopeful works we have achieved together. We look forward to learning more from each other in the years ahead. I'm so grateful that you joined us today. I wish you a blessed Ramadan, and may God bless you all.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace, we beseech God in the name of His greatness, which transcends all limits, and His munificence, which outruns all measures, to shower upon us the light of guidance and to remove from us the darkness of ignorance and wrongdoing. We are grateful for President George W. Bush as he gathered us Muslim leaders to be his guests and America's guests, breaking fast with him on that blessed day of Ramadan. Almighty God, help us work all together to stop the terror of violence, to end the suffering and misery of innocent people, and to spread the seeds of hope and peace on earth. May God protect this great nation from the evil act of terrorists and inspire its leadership to continue supporting freedom and justice for all. May God's choice, blessings, and rewards dawn upon those who are present in this assembly and upon all the people of goodwill. اللهم لك صمنا وطرنا وبك آمنا وعليك توكلنا ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق ذهب الأجر إن شاء الله يا أرحم الراحمين ارحمنا. آمين.
I ain't heard nothing from Fox News about that. But when a black man that is a prominent figure that have had that has an image of being a decent, respectful, and wealthy black man stands up in front of black people and starts telling us and telling black people, look, not only should you respect the Muslims, but you should try to, the black Muslims, the nation of Islam, as was guided by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, you should emulate them. They do. Protect your women. Educate your children, yourself. Put the drugs and the alcohol down. Put the guns and stuff down that you buying from white people, and then you going out here with a gun in your pocket and nothing in your head. They don't want you listening to him. Because if you listen to him, next thing you know, you're going to be saying, may Allah salam alaikum. And they don't want that. Because then they can't use you as a tool and a slave anymore. You notice, I stand up here and I charge Caucasian people that in this government here with many things, don't I? Have you ever heard one accuse me of lying on them? And was willing to come in here and have the discussion and offer proof? Huh? And then you ask me why would I just stand up and speak out in defense of Dr. Cosby? It is because I haven't heard anything that convinces me that he's guilty of what they're accusing him of. It's just, I mean, even the women that they interview, when you back them in a corner and ask him, did he rape? I mean, you can take things. It's just like one of them talking about he took her to the Playboy manager and told her to tell people that she was 9. If anybody asks you, tell them you 19. I know that's a lie. You know how I know that's a lie? It's because when you go to any place where you have to be 18 or older to get in there, they don't ask you your age. They ask you, show me some ID. They don't care what you tell them. I mean, I didn't get a chance to ask. I mean, look, I know what happens if the police stop you and you driving, it's your car, and somebody in your car got drugs. Everybody in the car going to jail. Now they'll sort it out later, maybe. But whoever car it is, you didn't know he had them, you should have known. That's what they're gonna say. Huh? If they come to your house and find drugs being dealt out of there, the owner and everybody else that's in there, they're gonna charge you. I mean, if he took a minor to Playboy Mansion, I ain't heard nobody say they filing charges against Hugh Hefner. Have you? They play games with our minds. And the only way to stop people from playing games with your mind, you had better wise up. I remember by a lady in the audience when he was talking, they asked him at one of those town hall meetings, what can we do to help you? He said, get enlightened. You're not enlightened if you don't have understanding of the things that go on around you. If you're not aware of the tricks that the media plays on you, and look at how they just tried to play that thing with Alan West as though he was some guest there when he's on the payroll. I mean, what kind of stuff is this? He's a contributor. How come he didn't introduce him as a contributor? You know, I found out today that Ms. Allred was a teacher at my high school. Yes. Oh, he said Fox contributor. He said it fast because I sure didn't hear him. How many rest of y'all heard him? How come you didn't say something? I don't have to lie on people. If they said contributor, then you should say they did say it. I don't look. I don't want nobody to think that I got to lie to put my point across. I don't have to lie. And if they say he's a contributor, then you know that they're telling him what to say. So what does his opinion mean? I mean, I didn't want Miss Allred to think that I'm a groupie for Dr. Cosby or nobody else. I'm not nobody's groupie. But at the same time, when I see a man that is because once people can determine that you are a groupie, then your judgment don't mean anything. You know why? Because you ain't listening, don't care what nobody say. That's just another way of saying you bigoted when it comes to certain issues. But don't come to me with 1,000 people accusing somebody, and then I ask, well, what was the name of the drug that you found in your system? And at first, at least tell me that. And show me the doctor's report that you got. Playing on the fact that Miss Allred really did get raped. And wasn't nothing done about it. It happened in Mexico somewhere, Acapulco. So naturally, she's sympathetic. You know, when you can empathize with people, a lot of times you can, you can be easily fooled by them. Because what happened to you, they can tell you that the same thing happened to them, and you would naturally believe it without doing a lot of investigation because you empathizing. Wa alaikum assalam.
I do recall with Ms. Allred that she was a commentator on Fox News, and I believe she also had a program on the same network. I just thought I'd share that with you.
Well, everybody that's been on Fox News don't necessarily hold the same philosophical or what you might call political viewpoint. You know, I mean, from talking with her tonight, she didn't seem bigoted. She didn't seem bigoted to me because while I was talking, she did let me speak, and it sounded like she was, I was saying, and not just waiting on her turn to speak. So, you know, like I said, people can, even the Lamb of God, which I am, the book teaches you that the Lamb was angry and the great day of wrath has come. You don't think about a lamb getting angry and raising wrath to nobody. But it really can make you angry when you went out, your heart went out to someone and you found out they tricked you. One of the definitions of lamb is that means a person who is easily tricked. It is easy to trick somebody that love you. Because when people love you, they tend to want to believe anything you tell them. But I've learned some things. As Allah told me in the Holy Quran, He said, "Oh, you who believe." He was talking to His prophets, His messengers, more so than anyone else, because couldn't have been talking to everybody else, because the book says that no man was able to open nor to understand the book. So who are these people who believe? It's the messengers of God. As they were told, you shall believe in Him and you shall aid Him. Then the Isaiah asked the question, he says, who hath believed our report? He is brought. Let's read it here. Let me show you here. It's Isaiah chapter 53, I think it is. It says, who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him. Didn't say they shall grow up, he shall grow up. So when it said, oh, you who believe, if an unrighteous person brings you news, if an unrighteous man brings you news, look carefully into it. Why? That's what Allah says to me. When people who are not righteous bring you news, He said, look carefully into What is Fox News? What is the CNN? What is MSNBC? All of them got one thing in common. They don't represent themselves as being righteous people. If an unrighteous man brings you news, look carefully into it, lest you harm a people, and then be sorry for what you did. I'm not going to, that's why I had to remind her of what the creed of those who declare themselves to be champions of justice. It is better that 10 guilty people go free than that one innocent man be convicted of a crime that he did not do. That's why the justice system is set up where if you accuse a person, you got to offer evidence, tangible evidence, to back up what you accusing them of. You got to have something more than just your word. If you accuse the man of drugging and raping you, if you got nerve to do that, what gave you that nerve? It better be something more than that you just a stronger race. That told me she been talking to somebody else. That's the kind of conversation you have when you sit down discussing how this gonna work. It's gonna work the same way it worked in the past. White woman accused a black man of rape, that's the end of that. Get him in court. The crooked court system will do the rest. No, I ain't going along with that. My advice to Dr. Cosby is, you've told them that you didn't do those things. That's all you need to tell them. What else is there to say other than every time he come on, you insult him by saying, just you keep on questioning him about it. That's just your way of saying you don't believe him. Then on what are you basing your disbelief of him? You got some proof from these women other than their mouth? And which of them done donated millions of dollars to charities to help people? 20-something million to Spelman. I don't know how much donated in years. Temple University. Ain't got nothing but a record of helping people. He's not a saint. He's a lot more saint than them who accusing him. Man, y'all better wake up. Y'all, you say you believe in justice? How would you like it if somebody, a bunch of people just out of the blue, accuse you of something? And then you say, I didn't do that. Okay. Well, where's their proof? No doctor's reports, no nothing. Done even waited 30 years. I mean, I was underage and a lady across the street from me, she used to have me rubbing lotion on her legs and stuff. Maybe I need to go back and sue her for improper conduct with a minor. In your dream, wouldn't do nobody like that. What are you doing? Y'all some crazy people. Any of you that want to come in here and show me that I'm looking at this wrong, you come and show me the right way to look at it. I mean, here you want people to be able to just haul that famous, wealthy man into court to prove that what evidence against him is false. What evidence do they have? What? So just a word is enough for you, huh? It ain't enough for me. No. When unrighteous people bring you news, that's why I had to ask, I had to ask Miss Allred about her religious beliefs and whatnot. Because in our religion, you can't just come out and do to people what you wouldn't have them do to you. What if it was her husband? What if it was your brother or your father and people was doing that and said that about him? Would you be so eager to have him go into court? Them sue them. Them people ain't got nothing he can get. What? And in order to do that, you have to trust that the court system will be fair and just. Is that what you've experienced? That's what you done seen happening in the court system of America here? My advice to you is stay out of there. That's my advice to you. And I'm telling you in front of them. Now let them come in here and tell me that what I'm saying is not the truth, that you can get justice in the court system. You can't even get them to charge a police officer with murder if he murders a black man. You can't even, if he was innocent, then let the grand jury, let him come into court. Because once you shoot an unarmed man, there's already question about whether or not there's enough question there that demands a fair and just hearing. Because you shot a man that didn't have any weapon. That's reason for a trial. But not when it comes to us. You just do what you please to us. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying what I'm saying is wrong? Is it wrong? Let white people come in here and tell me what's wrong about what I just said. Because I know, I know that if it was a white child, a white teenager, and a black or white officer shot them and they was unarmed, they'd be in court. And I tell you something else. The district attorney wouldn't have had to take it to, he wouldn't have told you he gonna let the grand jury decide it either. He would have filed some charges. Oh, I know it and you know it. And I don't wish the mayor no harm in New York. I know he walking a tightrope. But to suggest to the people that they should have demonstrations in honor of the 2 police officers that got killed is to suggest that their lives were worth more than the people that they was demonstrating about. And you just can't do that. And so those people kept demonstrating, and that's no affront to the families of those 2 officers that were murdered. So, but you got to remember that it's we've been at the mercy of those who hate us for the past 459 years. And we have been shown no mercy. When it comes to our lives being worth something, anytime, why you think so few black leaders stand up, even when they know that what's being done is wrong? They're very careful in choosing their words and picking and choosing their words because they know they subject to be cut down. I mean, I felt real good to hear this congressman speak up about this stuff that's being done to President Obama. It makes me feel that we are awakening. The time of the dead is come. The dead means that the ignorant, and that which was done to us in slavery to purposely kill our minds. We are overcoming that fear now. That's the main thing that the black man and woman in America need to overcome is fear. And it made me feel good to hear Congressman Hastings speaking up about this foolishness that John Boehner and all of them are doing.
Republicans and a hand.
Just give me a minute here.
Full of Democrats from time to time about frivolous lawsuits. If there's ever such a thing as a frivolous.
Just give it a minute here. It's rebooting. You know, we.
Lawsuit. This lawsuit is frivolous on steroids. And the fact of the matter is, I predict for you that it will be dismissed most immediately upon its being rendered to a court of competent jurisdiction. We're a better people than this, and we shouldn't be doing ourselves these kinds of things. Lawsuit isn't about enforcing the law. You voted 50 times in this institution, really 51, maybe even 52, to repeal the law. I want to have the repeal. If this was really about the way the law is being enforced, you would have sued President Obama when he made the initial announcement. Instead, you waited until this election year. So let's for a base that.
Obviously, they're talking about Obamacare. When they came to him on that, for using his executive power, you know, I mean, just crazy stuff, man. And you gonna tell me that racism ain't here now? That's what the Supreme Court used to strike down some of the things that were set in place to make sure that black people wouldn't be railroaded down south here at different things. You think you done seen some tornadoes in Mississippi? You ain't seen nothing, boy. You just wait.
Hates of this president. This resolution is being brought to the floor under Cole's rule, and the lawsuit is supposed to represent the interests of the House. Well, it ain't representing me, and I'm a member of the House. I don't believe it's representing Ms. Slaughter, Mr. McGovern, and Mr. Polis, and countless of our colleagues here. And you won't even let members tell you what their interests are. If you're claiming to represent the House, or the Congress, or even, why aren't you getting any input from members? And I might add another reason that.
Now remember, You remember when John Boehner came out there talking about he's the Speaker of the whole House? What did you just hear the congressman say? Then why you don't get some input from the whole House? Listen.
Dismissed is that it is not the legislative body. It is a branch of the legislative body and not the whole of the House and the U.S. Senate that is bringing this matter. Now, the Rules Committee is the only committee. You talk about the fact that we debated it up here. It's the only committee that had an opportunity to amend this measure. And even that came after you unilaterally and fundamentally rewrote the bill after our legislative hearing and with zero input from the outside. You were up here yesterday talking about openness and transparency for the Endangered Species Act. We talked about birds and wolves and flowers and all sorts of irrelevant matters as it pertains to what's going on in this country. And yet this lawsuit rides to the courtroom straight from the smoky back room somewhere that we haven't seen. Instead of this partisan exercise, we should be about the business. And I don't know that we can any longer be about the business of trying to do what we can to create jobs. Don't give me that garbage about you pass something to the Senate. All of those measures that you call job creating measures, none of them would have created the kind of jobs that are needed in this country and the kind of things that are needed to be done. We need to fix our crumbling infrastructure. All you have to do is ride 3 miles inside Washington or ride around some of the I-5s that I have to ride around in the congressional district that I'm privileged to serve, and then you would see potholes all over.
Remember, I told you, they don't want to fix nothing while President Obama in office. But every idea that he had, they'll take it and use it and claim it as their own.
The place and erosion all over the place, and here we are in a world that's on fire. We're around here dealing with a specious or frivolous lawsuit instead of doing the kinds of things for cleaning.
Just a moment, they keep on having to reboot. You know.
Technology that are going to put our children in a position to succeed in the next generation of global competition. We need to fix our tax code and close some corporate loopholes and require these corporations to pay fair taxes and to bring their money home, whether it's under amnesty or something, but to hide all the money in this country and to create the kind of disparity that existed. And you're around here bringing some frivolous lawsuit. Tell you what, Mr. Chairman, I had an amendment. I don't even want to offer no more amendments. I think it's absolutely insane what you all are doing, and I predict for you that it will be dismissed.
Let me show you something else here. I want to show you something else. I want to let you see these things that have been done, and you know, to show you that, I mean, there's some white people that recognize what's going on is wrong, and they're speaking out about it. Most of them are youngsters, though. You know, their minds are not all steeped in lies. Like, you remember Byron Della Beckwith's son said he just didn't know?
Well, remember that back in July, Republicans in the House of Representatives filed this historically unprecedented lawsuit against President Obama for delaying the Obamacare employer mandate. And the broader picture was President Obama is...
Wait a minute, it's trying to reboot. Is that thing gonna need rebooting over there again? So I'm down to 2 bars here. I don't know what that's about.
Using executive orders to do whatever it is that he wants. Unfortunately, you may have noticed, unfortunately for Republicans, that several months have passed and we haven't really heard more about what's going on with John Boehner's lawsuit against President Obama. There's been some speculation that Boehner was just going forward slowly for fears that this might negatively affect today's midterm elections. It appears that if that's a part of it, it's only one part. It seems that they're having trouble getting lawyers to actually handle this lawsuit. It's so funny. Politico's Josh Gerstein
It'll reboot.
and Maggie Haberman reported that Boehner's actually been having trouble finding a law firm that is willing to file the lawsuit. 2 have tentatively signed on, and both seem to have gotten cold feet. Originally, it was attorney David Rivkin who crafted what we now know to be pretty unique legal arguments that Boehner used to justify the lawsuit. They were supposed to eventually file the lawsuit itself, but the firm, Baker Hostetler, pulled out. And then more recently, Bill Burke of the firm Quinn Emanuel also was tentatively hired for the lawsuit, but they're also backing away. Now, anybody with a common
excuse me.
Yes, sir, I'm here. I was just.
Yes, sir. I know that was just a video pause, but I wanted to just.
With a good head on their shoulders and some.
We're going up the air at WHPR 33. But what happened this evening is we had lost power twice. We just went black. I think a transformer or something blew. So just wanted to let your listeners know that that's what took place. And at the same time, thank you, our engineer, and everybody who participates in the Union Rebuilding Fund, because the generator kicked on twice. So thank you for having the foresight on that, and thank a lot for that. But that's what's been going on. We lost power twice. So that's why everything went black.
Was it raining up there?
Yes, sir. We've had rain and wind. And in Highland Park didn't lose power, but that's why I think it may have been a transformer or something on this street. Because I stepped outside and it was just this street that was black.
Well, we definitely want them to know that that ain't gonna stop us now. So as I told you, you got to, when something happened to you once, well, shame on the one that did it to you. But it ain't supposed to keep on happening. You're supposed to get you something where, when that happened, you got your own power source that should take care of you. And I'm glad that the generator and everything worked, and the station stayed on air, and that's good. So we're going to keep on supporting the station that has been so instrumental in supporting Black people. Not to the demeaning of white people, but giving Black people a means of communicating with one another and being able to put our thoughts on the air just as other people are putting theirs on the air. Do you understand? So, I'll take this opportunity to thank Mr. Watkins for holding them doors open until some more of us come that can help hold them open.
Yes, sir, that's right.
And we gonna help. we're going to keep on helping.
Yes, sir.
So let me let you hear. You see now this, you see this young white man here? Just listen to him.
Legal common sense. This is a very shaky lawsuit to begin with, okay? We see President Obama in general has actually used fewer executive orders than just about every president in recent history. He has not been overstepping his authority by using these. In fact, he's been pushed into using executive orders as necessary, for the most part because of Republican obstructionism. But it seems that some of these specific law firms just don't want to get involved in something so politically contentious because it could end up really backfiring on them. And Lewis, you know, love lawsuits in the sense that they make a lot of money from.
Now listen to what he's saying now. Yeah, lawyers love lawsuits. They make plenty of money from that. But listen to this.
Suing people, and they're not even able to find lawyers that will sue President Obama. How ridiculous is this?
Yeah, you know, there are probably some out there who at first glance would say, whoa, we have a chance to sue the president. This could be huge for us. This would be given.
Now, as he said, you know, they having trouble finding lawyers that'll sue the president for them. Because once they, I mean, any lawyer will sue, but you got to give him something that justifies him taking that suit, if he's any kind of lawyer. So listen to what they say here. It played fine earlier. Now it don't seem to can't play without having to reboot.
Give us a lot of attention. And then what I imagine happens here is they sit down with John Boehner or some of John Boehner's people and end up saying to themselves, well, what the hell are these idiots talking about? They've got nothing, and then it just fizzles.
It's actually not clear to me. I go back and forth about John Boehner having a relatively good head on his shoulders and being coerced into doing a lot of stuff from the most extreme right-wing sections of the Republican Party versus thinking that he comes up with a lot of these crazy ideas on his own. I don't know exactly where the lawsuit thing is on that. We know that with the shutdown, John Boehner was pretty upfront in saying this has to end. This is really not a good idea. Some facts for you. Has the House of Representatives ever sued the president before? Individual members of Congress and groups of members have filed.
It's got to reboot. Just a moment. I'm gonna let y'all finish here, and then I'm gonna let you go. But the thing is, you see, all closed eyes ain't sleep.
Filed lawsuits against the president, the executive branch, but neither the House nor Senate have ever institutionally sued the president for failing to enforce law. And how have past lawsuits from members of Congress fared? Generally, they haven't done well. Usually, these the plaintiffs don't have standing, and courts can only step in to adjudicate specific cases where the plaintiff has received has been dealt some specific harm by the defendant. But typically, these go absolutely nowhere. We can assume somewhat.
You know why? Basically, they don't have standing. Is common sense to me. Is that they make the laws. Then once that law is made, it's up to the president to enforce them how he sees fit. Do you understand? I mean, you can't make the law and then tell the man whose job it is to enforce the law how you want him to do it. That's up to him. That's what he was elected for. Do you understand? What you want to be the lawmaking body, and you want to be the executive branch too. So what are you doing? No, you can't go like that. You know, you make the laws and then leave it to the one whose job it is to enforce them. to do it in a way that is best in the best interests of the country and not in the interest of some little special interest group. Because now Congress is becoming a special interest group. You made the law, now get out the way. But anyway.
Safely, Lewis, that's the case here.
Yeah, this is going to go nowhere. It may linger until the president even leaves office, but nothing's going to happen.
Let's talk a little bit about Republican and right-wing claims that they are for small government. Now, if you've been paying attention to politics or this show for any amount of time, you of course know that the American right calls itself the party of small government. The libertarians, the conservatives, the constitutional Republicans, all these groups talk about small government to some varying degrees. Now, of course, there are tons of contradictions here. If you think about how they're small government, but they want to let us married and what types of sex are legal in people's own bedrooms. No.
They don't understand what's meant by small government. Grover Norquist told them and they didn't listen. When Grover Norquist had everybody signing the pledge, and he said he wants to reduce the government down to the size that it can fit in the bathtub. And that simply means is we want all of these departments and bureaucracies, but we want to be able to tell them what to do. Do you understand? Yeah, a good example, when the people was telling John Boehner now, all the lines got all blocked because the president told their people to call their congressman and tell them to negotiate with him. And it created a traffic jam of phone calls. And yet the people still didn't, the Congress still didn't do what the majority of the people wanted them to do. So whose will was they obeying? Those few little men that could fit in one bathtub. Do you understand? That's the small government they're talking about. Do you understand? All right. I'm going to let you go. It's Wednesday. If it was Friday, I would teach longer. But didn't I tell you that I won't ever give you a call to be embarrassed because I represent you? At the same time, if you want me to be someone who disrespects other people and to treat people with disdain just because you disagree with them or don't like something they're doing, you know, that's a lesson that we can all take from, if you don't want to take it from scripture, take it from those presidents who conducted themselves like President Obama. You know, you think he don't feel nothing because when he see black people being shot down and whatnot? But he's not just black people's president. He's still the president of white people too. And he can't go on no crusade. He can't become an activist. He has to remember he's the president of the whole United States. And these problems didn't just start coming out when he got in office. Those problems have been in this country ever since we've been here. So you need to grow up and recognize that the president is not the problem. It's us who refuse to unite and do something about the problem that's the problem. We don't have to keep taking this stuff if we just unite and go on and take our children and educate them and set up businesses and support our own people in business and utilize our wealth and our resources for the benefit of ourselves and our people. All right, it's late. May Allah bless us all, keep us safe and in our right minds. And I look forward to talking with you again Friday, if it pleases Allah. And hopefully we will have some more. The brother from the Undisputed Truth, Mr. Harris, Joe Pep Harris, and some more of those Motown celebrities to interview. It's time that we start talking to each other. And so, if nothing else, I'm glad that this is bringing us together in conversation with one another. The first step to uniting is to be willing to talk to each other. And so, at least we're starting to talk to each other. Those who are stars talking to those of us who are just common folk. And that's a good start. All right. May Allah's Salam Alaikum.